Hi everyone. So last time we got up to the point where I'd gotten into bed, I'd fallen to sleep, and I was anticipating some sort of OBE. However, the next morning when I woke up, I had absolutely no dream recall whatsoever. To some people this might not seem that strange, but for someone as experienced as I am with dreaming and lucid dreaming, this was a very, very peculiar thing. For about 1.5 to 2 years prior to that date, I'd written my dreams down every morning without fail, sometimes writing as much as 8 or 10 pages down. So the fact I woke up that morning with absolutely no dream recall made me very, very suspicious that something had indeed happened, but I hadn't been consciously allowed to remember it. The memory of what happened that evening did end up resurfacing, but that was a bit further on down the line. So needless to say, I will be recounting to you what happened, but that will be in a later video. Okay, so let's move forward a few days, and we're now literally a couple of days away from the Canada trip. 2 nights before I left to go to Canada, I went round to my dad's, and you know, just for a bit of dinner and to say bye really, because I was going for 2 weeks, so you know, it was a fair chunk of time and I wanted to say my goodbyes and all that kind of stuff. So I went round there and had some dinner, and on this evening I was planning to tell him about what had happened a few nights previously. But before I told him that, me, my stepmum and my dad were sitting round the table, and he says to me, "When you're in Canada, son, make sure you don't say no to anything." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Something's going to happen to you while you're over in Canada. Don't say no to anything. Say yes to everything." So I'm sitting there thinking, he knows. Somehow he must know what happened to me the other night. But then when I went on to tell him exactly what had happened to me the other night, he wasn't aware, and it was news to him. However, he just said he'd had that inner voice within him telling him that something was going to happen to me, and that he needed to pass on that information. So that was really great. That was corroboration for me. If I was in any sort of doubt before, that, I don't know, that I was losing the plot, I was going mental, I was seeing things, or whatever, any doubt that was left was now erased totally, because there was my dad confirming to me, yes, something is going to happen to you, and be on the lookout for it. Okay, so without further ado, let's actually move on to the Canada trip. I won't bore you with all the details of the journey there, but needless to say, I got there safe. I got off the plane, Chelsea and her mum met me, they drove me back to her house, I unpacked, settled in, we were all getting along really well, and everything was good. A few days later, it was Chelsea's birthday. I gave her her birthday presents in the morning. We went out to eat some sushi later on in the day. Then in the evening we went out for some drinks, and yeah, it was all really nice actually. It was a good day. And later on that evening, rather naughtily, we decided to sneak into her local outdoor swimming pool. So we were swimming around for a bit and having a good time. And suddenly out the corner of my eye, I spot those, you know, those are like foam tubes and they can keep you afloat in the water. So I swam over to them and got them off the side of the pool and got them in with us. And I had this great brainwave of tucking one of the tubes behind my arms and letting myself go and floating on my back and staring up at the night sky. Because it was such a beautiful night that night, and there was no clouds in the sky. All the stars could be seen in their true glory. It was just absolutely amazing. So I thought, I've got to take advantage of this. So I did so. I tucked the tube behind my arms and I'm floating there, staring up at the stars, and it's a really amazing, serene experience. And I'm just totally taken in by it all. And after a while of staring up at the stars, I almost get into some sort of trance. And as I'm in that trance, I find my eyes naturally drawn towards a constellation of stars that were in a triangle shape. There was 3 of them. And at the time, I didn't know what this constellation was. I had no idea really. But I felt drawn to it, and I felt an affinity with it. And as I was staring up at the constellation, a strange thought flickered through my mind. And it said, that's your home. That's where you belong. So a shiver goes down my spine, and I suddenly snap out of the trance and think, what was I just thinking? What was that all about? So we end up going back to her house about 10 minutes later. I didn't tell her anything that had happened because I was still working it all out for myself, and I wasn't really ready to tell anyone yet. So we go back to her house, and we get into bed and we go to sleep. And I remember as I was falling to sleep wondering, was that it? Was that the experience they were preparing me for the other night? But my intuition said no, that it wasn't, that was just a preview, and the main event was still to come. So another couple of days pass, and me, Chelsea and her mum go to a bookstore during the day. Whilst we're at this bookstore, Chelsea's mum turns around to the 2 of us and says, I'm going to a meditation class later. Do you 2 fancy coming with me? And as she says this, I freeze on the spot, and the voice returns. And it says to me, this is it. Say yes. This is it.